Welcome to the Technical Advisory Committee Kickoff meeting, and I'm happy to see you all, and would like to extend my congratulations to you all. I hope we will be talking to you more frequently, and at the end of this meeting, we are about to figure out how frequently we will be talking to each other. For the agenda, so welcome and introductions, mission. I will talk a little bit about mission and governance model. I think it is important to be on the same page, so I will take you through the quick history of what has happened and what challenges we faced, why Technical Advisory Committee and why Business Advisory Committee was created, and what we expect them to solve. I also will talk a little bit about the projects with the help of Tim Hudson, who is our president, and he's here in the call. And we will share together our thoughts about Technical Advisory Committee, what we think it should be doing. We will be talking about support we provide. So welcome and introductions. My name is Anton. I'm operations and a director in OpenSSL. Tim Hudson is here in a call, and I think most of you are familiar with is the president and one of the founders. And Technical Advisory Committee is you all. Say just a couple of words about yourself to make it quick. Go ahead.
So should we go in order?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hello everyone. I am Nicola. Many of you already know me. I am a doctoral researcher at Tampere University, and I have the honor of serving in the TAC and the PAC for the foundation, and now also the TAC for the corporation. I'm involved, I have contacts with researchers in the academia to represent their point of views here, and I do research on OpenSSL on a daily basis.
That's good, thanks. Shane?
Hello, I'm just Shane from, I work for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. This is a different hat, so I just represent the committers here, so yeah. I'll go on to the next person.
And you, where are you based, Shane, physically? And Nicola probably should have said Finland.
So I'm in Tasmania, which is a little tiny island down the bottom of Australia.
Yeah. Thanks, Shane, and especially for joining this late for you. Yeah, so Dmitry, you?
Hello, my name is Dmitry Belyavskiy. I work in Red Hat. I maintain OpenSSL here. So I represent the distribution community and try to make to represent all the distribution interests. So let's see.
And whereabouts are you physically based, Dmitry?
I'm physically based in Brno, Czech Republic.
Thanks, Dmitry. Aditya.
Yeah, hello everyone. I hope you all are doing well. It's me, Aditya Koranga. I am the vice chair at Post-Quantum Cryptography Alliance, which is under Linux Foundation. And here at OpenSSL, I'll be representing individuals for OpenSSL Corporation, and for OpenSSL Foundation, I'll be representing small businesses. Apart from that, I have experience of working as the chief security architect, and I have personally founded some non-profitable open source communities such as NGCore, which works on cybersecurity, post-quantum cryptography. So I do a lot of open source things. I am a part of a different technical advisory committee of other foundation as well. So I'll try to apply all the experience that I've gathered throughout my years at OpenSSL also. So I'm looking forward to work with you all guys.
And it's absolutely fantastic to see a new face we haven't seen before. Welcome.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. And the last, Paul Yang. Hello, Paul.
Yes. Hi there. I'm Paul, and I'm from China, and also located here. And in the past several years, I have talked a lot with Tim for some fascinating ideas there. And I was invited as a OpenSSL committer since 2017. Sorry, 2018 should be, right? And I was working for some big firms, big internet companies inside China, including Alibaba and Ant. And last month, I have resigned from Ant, and I now, with some friends, we operating a small company called ToneFlow. And what is very interesting is this company is not working on the traditional IT-related markets. It's a music company, so we are actually running a something like a local music studio here, and we utilized a lot of cryptography technologies to protect our customers' data and digital assets. I'm hoping in the future I can have more time in the community.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. We have multiple slides to go through. OpenSSL missions. We believe everyone should have an access to security and privacy tools, whoever they are, whenever they are, whatever their personal beliefs are, as a fundamental human right. Pretty much everything we do, and we would like a technical advisory committee to do. Every decision, every consideration of whatever you have in your hands would be. It is important this filter it through the statement and values. OpenSSL Corporation. So who we are, how big we are. So this is a recent update of how big the corporation is. In operation part, you can see Anton is a manager of 3 people, like 2.5. Katerina Mitchell is in a transition to the marketing and communication. Marketing and communication are the same big as operations right now, and engineering is 7 current engineers, 1 contractor, and contractor is Michael Bench, and we expect 2 more engineers to join. The governance. So it used to be the new governance model, which I no longer can call new, as it is effective since March 2024. Some of us who are the back members already heard it, or maybe in a previous presentations. The idea is that we used to operate as a one company in the past, 1 set of directors, 1 set of members. But at a certain point, it was transparent for us and that we do not serve every community in a sufficient capacity. Different communities who were not particularly happy with our decisions, with our development, with our future plans, with our way of communication. So they just didn't have enough information about what we are going to do. The decision was made back in March 2024 to split into two distinct companies, the foundation and the corporation, which will be operating co-equally as an autonomous entities. So we cooperate by choice, not by force. Whereas the foundation's focus is non-commercial communities and activities, and corporation focuses on commercial activities and communities. At the same time, there were 2 distinct board of directors established, so that there are separate board of directors for the foundation. You probably know them. It's Matt Caswell, Richard Levitt, and Tomasz Mraz. And board of directors of the corporation are here. It's me and Tim Hudson. We still have a shared set of members for the foundation corporation. It's 10 people. This is what we look like. So we're very similar in a way how we operate. We have communities. You can see the back and TAC here. We have members I just mentioned, which is the same set of people who are members elect small board of members back in tax advisory committees, advises to the directors. Among the directors, we choose who is secretary, treasurer, and a president or elect. And we have a staff. So staff is separate with only exception of the engineering pool. We have an pool of engineers, both of us, and we use this pool as a common resource. Out of the communities we defined, which is you should be familiar with, or very well familiar with distribution, small and big, large businesses, committers, individuals, academics, and we are open for the future communities should they rise. Also, we are open to any kind of changes which will happen to these communities, because we are in an exploratory phase. So we're looking how communities working. Business Advisory Committee, which was established back in October-November timeframe. We actually had a back kickoff meeting exactly 5 months and 3 days ago. So the Business Advisory Committee should answer the what question essentially in in agile terms, they are product owners in some way, so they have to decide what is more important to do for their community in a coming future. So they try to gather this information about like importance and needs of the communities in the future. So they are people who are able to assess the priority for certain features. For your information, this is very important for you because I would like all of you to actually establish connections with your counterparts and have a conversation with them, so you can see the names here. The presentation will be shared with you, and the information is public and open on the OpenSSL community's website. Technical Advisory Committee has to answer the how questions. So it is a key advisory body which will ensure that the voices of the communities are heard in a way of the technical decision making, and to be a future-proof as an OpenSSL library, to consider, I don't know, technological advancement, which may be out of radar for the large businesses or for the business people, but to be very close to your heart as a technical people. So this is you. And in March, we also decided like that we not just change the way we structured as a companies, as a governance. We also decided we need to invent a way how we will be talking to the communities, how we will reach out to people we never had a chance to talk to, we never had a chance to hear from. And back then, we had just one prominent channel, which was GitHub through the issues and NPRs. So we had to figure out something better than this and better than mailing lists. So we had to find out a better way, involve more people in figure out the channels, and this is where we are now. So this is how we've got business advisory committees. This is how we've got you, and we would like you to be the voice of your community. So it is important to say that the positions you hold are personal, they are independent of your current employees. So you were selected by communities, and you also represent your communities. You do not represent like yourself personally. It's very important to keep in mind. But also, it may be a very good idea to, this is what I'm saying to the business advisory committees, that's by holding your personal view and share it to your community, you can spark some conversation and create some tension and get people to have discussions. Good. So, new
for example, I'll give you an example. Shane could quite reasonably put forward a position that Oracle Linux should be the only platform. I'm sure that will get feedback within the committees.
Oh, all right. That's a good example. Dmitry is smiling. So it did work.
It was intended to.
Yeah. So the new workflow, which is also the changes which we like create, and also how to say it, they initiate or creating the changes like of internal processes, the way the engineering works, and etc. So which are not exactly super established because we're still missing a proper guidance, proper input. We still ensuring that the bits and pieces of the bigger process working. So an idea is that we have a wrangler right now within the engineering team, which is a rotational role, and one of the engineers on a bi-weekly basis takes a turn and looking into the GitHub issues and PRs, and I'm ensuring that's just a basic sanity check that's complete, there's something to work on, has a proper tags, and identifying something big and something small, because when we have a large feature request, it is routed to business advisory committee for consideration, which is in turn should be recommended to the board of directors sometime in the future. And small features, they just go directly to the engineering. So what advisory committees and a new workflow features, and it is important to say that it is solving for us the way that we getting the input outside of the GitHub and either issues and pull requests like solely. So we hope that we enabled people like other people to participate in a development and process and in a process of defining the future of OpenSSL. So the process right now is no longer limited just to being a committer or developer to influence the OpenSSL directions. Additionally, this is the last slide of this section. This is what happened to OpenSSL. You know that we changed the logo. We created a set of the websites. To distinguish like the different parts of the projects. But I think the general idea is that both corporation and foundation are serving the same mission. And we have more than one project now, so it's not just a library. We have a
Question.
Yeah.
Sorry, question. So what's the consideration behind the different color for different logos there? The red, the green, gray, black. So is there a deep consideration behind this? So it's just a random, right?
Yeah, it's more or less random. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Sounds like more like a outcome of a hashing process. Right?
Yeah, you can see that we decided to keep the OpenSSL library colors, the original ones. And I think plays out well. And OpenSSL changes was the most recent invention. We would like to have everyone to communicate through in the future. So, and anytime you would like to talk to us, to the board, to each other, please every time consider maybe it were to be published on a community's website. We have a very good relationship with the company, who are the developers of the Lumio platform we use for the communities. If you have a feeling you're missing a feature or some capability of the platform, let me know. The challenges we faced in the past, why the bigger changes why we started to do the bigger changes. So we couldn't answer the very basic questions like when a feature X will be available, when the release will be available, when my feature will be addressed or my PR will be addressed. So that was a common answers to this question. So we don't know. And the changes we made to address these questions, so we established two companies in order to be able to answer different set of people, different communities, and different challenges to give them a good answer. And we also created a vehicle to work on features which are not, let's say, like super approved, but we decided that we will allow feature branches which will be taken care by the engineering team. If we see the feature is important, it is blessed by Business Advisory Committee, it was blessed by Board of Directors. So in this case, we allow for the feature branch, and which is, as I told, maintained. I hope it is still like that. Team, you can confirm it, or somebody from committers. So it's maintained and taken care by engineering team as long as it is being worked on and until it is merged.
Feature branches are generally getting rebased, and certainly when we had active development. But yeah, the ECH stuff's getting rebased, which is good.
It is also a part of the answer for the next question when a certain release will be ready, because we switched to the time-based releases. We started with the 3.3 in April 2024, and essentially we are time-based or
time-boxed.
Time-boxed. Yeah, I'm not sure what I wanted to say, but what I wanted to actually say is that we do the release no matter what. In April and October, we came to the beginning of the month. We let ourselves a little bit of a buffer time during the month, so that if we see any issues within the release, so we can work on fixing this. So that, but ultimately, we doing our best to make a release within the April and October each year. And if a feature is not ready, it will not get into the release, so it will just go to the next one, or as soon as it's ready. When the feature or issue will be addressed, again, it's all going deeply into the who we're talking to, through which channel we're talking to. Is it a customer? Is it some random person in a GitHub? Is it do we have a commercial interest? Is it like any? If we don't have commercial interest in it, and a general capacity. And we are doing right now much better than a year ago. We have more than doubled engineering team. So, and you should be. So I will show a few numbers, a few graphs later. But yeah, so this is what happened. So we've got some answers. So one of these answers is hiring more people, but also it is important that when my issue appear will be addressed, there will be like plus. We have business advisory and we have technical advisory, people who prioritize your features, and you can work directly with them on OpenSSL communities or any other suitable channel, so that they can bump up the importance in your eyes of their request, whatever it is, a feature or an issue. Good. Yeah. So this is what I think I just told. So the business advisory committee is a community mechanism for roadmap priority determination. So this is a place where a person can raise the problem they have and to ensure that it will be addressed eventually. And technical advisory committee is a technical policy determination of how it should be done. It is a good thing that one of the problems we had in the past that there was always a better way to do something than OpenSSL did, and we consider it wrong not by everyone but just part of these people. But the problem was that we never made this decision in an open way as we can now, or we would be trying to achieve, so that we couldn't really answer them where the decision has happened, when it was happened, where the traces and things like that. So, and at this moment when it was not transparent enough in the past, it's very hard to convince people that you did something in a good way just because you didn't get to listen other point. So this is what the GitHub PR's total numbers looks like for the past 5 years. You can see that we've got some drops roughly when we've got a little bit more people, or maybe a little bit more focused people. Good. The projects I mentioned before, I will be quick here. We've got a bouncy castle and Cliplib. We have been in a process of a conversation how we can work together, what we can do better together, and etc. The thing is that in general, we can help each other with the things like FIPS 140 testing labs and its access to answer some questions. We also can help them with the governance. We can help. We can have discussions on new algorithms implementations, such as recent PQC algorithms. So there are definitely huge space of collaboration between the security projects in particular.
As you can see, our mission is a lot broader than what we've been doing traditionally. So traditionally, we're always focused on the one project, the OpenSSL Library. But when we sat down as a group, we figured out we really weren't conceptually limiting ourselves to just that one project. So we have a fairly broad umbrella, and as long as it's something in the security and privacy being delivered to everybody, we were interested in that. So we went and looked at a number of other projects that were out there, had a conversation with them and said, we've come up with this mission and these values. What do you think of them? And 2 of the projects came back and said, well, we think we would like operate under them. So we ended up with Bouncy Castle and Cliplib immediately signing up to the mission. Now, the photo that Anton's just put up here, that was our meeting, what was it, 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
Three weeks ago in Brno, and we've got most of the corporation folks there and people from Bouncy Castle and Cliplib, and a couple of folks from the foundation. So you can see Matt and Thomas Maratz there. And also we ended up with half of the business advisory committee for the corporation there, and we sort of made sure everybody got to meet everybody else and spent a whole pile of time. So we're certainly planning on having the technical advisory committee get together, meet everybody. The time you spend talking and having a meal with other folks and getting to know them really does improve the communication. And then we got invites out to some other events. So we went off to local university, did a few bits and pieces as well. So that face time makes a big difference for the relationships going forward.
Oh, all right. So finally, TAC. What is TAC? So I mentioned already. So it's a key advisory bodies from our perspective who will make sure that the voices of your communities, technical voices, heard and considered in a technical decision making. This is the role of the TAC as we see it. So you complement business advisory committee, you work in parallel with them, and TAC provide us priorities based on a market and based on a business. Actually, I wrote business, but it's not only business, but an idea of to get an idea of their communities on what is important for the OpenSSL. And that contributes to the technical insight and feasibility validations, how the certain thing should be created, if it's and if it's feasible to do it like that way. Maybe there is a completely different way of achieving the same from the technical point of view. That's your focus again, as we see it. You advocate for the best practices and implementation. You're also looking at the future proofing of the OpenSSL library. So something that may be out of the sight of the business people. So identifying emerging risks and cryptography and protocol, advising innovations like PQC, and support long-term security, performance, and compliance. Yeah, it's very important you aligned with the mission and you ensure everything you do, everything you decide is aligned with the mission and values. It is also important to keep in mind that you're independent, you operate autonomously, you're independent from the corporation management, and your decisions and advice must remain free from undue influence. It is absolutely important to carry out all your actions in communication in an open way, except when it is impossible for whatever reason. But we encourage you to communicate in OpenSSL community's website so that we have a good idea how we reach one or another decision and what is actually happening within the OpenSSL, the technical advisory committee and other committees.
So I just want to jump in there, Anton. Mm-hmm. So it's really important, guys, that you never find yourself in a situation where you feel Anton or I or anybody in a management role in the corporation has convinced you to not bring forward an idea or convinced you to change your mind. That's not our role. So if you've got an idea or a thought, you bring it forward, you represent it. If we see it differently, that communication will be out in the public and visible for everybody. And we'll be accountable. Anton and I are accountable to the members who elect us in the roles. You're accountable to your communities. And we need to make sure that where there is a different view, everybody can see that difference and can see the process of resolution. So in reality, it makes it difficult for Anton and I to ignore your advice without clearly stated reasons. And that's part of one of the changes we're doing here, so that if we do see things differently, we have to defend the position we're taking because the dialogue is all out in the open. And that's one of the biggest changes in the governance model that we've got. Now, we don't expect we're always going to see things the same way, but we want you to passionately present and defend your views. And that will require us, where we disagree with them, to make sure everybody sees out in the open what and why. So there should never be any backroom deal. Hey, Tim gave Shane a call and convinced Shane not to bring that item forward. We don't want that to ever happen. So that's why I'm just sort of stressing this point. It's meant to be quite different to the perception some people have had of how we've worked in the past. Now, it doesn't stop us having a conversation, but we really want to get those ideas up and public and out in the open as early as possible so that people don't form an impression that we're doing anything not transparently.
Collaboration. So, yeah, we would like you to actively engage with your communities. This is, I think, the only way to do your role successfully and represent your community perspectives really well-rounded and balanced advice. We're also looking for a constructive feedback. We see Technical Advisory Committee as a liaison, which facilitates the community engagement, which encourages participation. And regular things like you should be monitoring the community evolution so that you know what is happening within your community. Maybe something affect your particular community, such as new regulations for large businesses or emerging technologies for academia. Another important thing is that we would like you to contribute to the governance and growth of the Technical Advisory Committee. We do not have any particular playbook or rules or whatnot about how the Technical Advisory Committee should work, should operate, how much and how frequently you should be meeting. We do not have an idea of what the advice should look like and what should be the way of transmit to the board of directors. It's all up to you. And yeah, so the way the Technical Advisory Committee will look like in the future is what you can do and how you can change it.
How many representatives each community has? How many communities there should be? Anything?
Yeah. No, it is also important to distinguish like what is TAC in the nature, and it's in the nature. It is an advisory role and not an executive authority. So you do provide us guidance. You act as a community advocate and support.
You have zero liability. You can make outrageous suggestions.
That's correct.
You don't have to deliver them.
So the support from corporations. So we're trying to support you as much as possible with everything we can do. For this matter, we have our commitment to empower you with tools, resources, guidance, whatever you may require. So what we can help you with administrative support, with the things like we can help you with the meeting facilitation, we can help you with the documentation, we can help you with the voting decision-making process. Communication resources, we have more than just Lumio, but we kind of trying to keep everything in one place so that it is possible to find in one place. But should you need, for whatever reason, an email list and shared drive, any kind of different collaboration platforms, we open to listen and provide. Should you need help with the outreach, also we can help you with the announcements, with putting information on our website and talking through other social channels we have about whatever you would like to share. Operational tools. What is also important is that you as a Technical Advisory Committee, you have a discretionary budget of $50,000 US for you to fund whatever initiatives you may have to cover whatever operational expenses you need to. The rule is that it must support the community outreach and it must support the technical advisory mission, or there is no strings attached to the budget.
Seriously, amongst yourselves, figure out what you think is appropriate. We just need accounting for what it is to meet our obligations to the IRS for when our books are done. We have no input over what this is. So if you guys collectively feel you want to go down to the beach and have a big party, that would be your Technical Advisory Committee decision to make. Your communities may not think that's a good idea, but we won't stop it. right? It really is your decision collectively as to how you go about doing it. So if you guys decide, to split the money equally between you, that's up to you. You decide how you want to manage that. From our perspective, it's an available budget. And, just remember, things are public. So if you, choose to do something unwise, you won't be able to hide what you spent the money on. But we won't act as a gate stopping you spending the money if you think it makes sense.
You have the autonomy, and you can define your agenda and accountability by transparent process. So whatever we do it in a public, in open space, and everything we document. OpenSSL Corporation is committed to collaborate with you, with TAC, in a productive way. We happy to provide resources you may need, and we open to discuss whatever future needs you may have in the future. Nicola, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, it's actually mostly on the previous slide. Sorry. So one of the things that we brought forward in the back, but I think it's in the foundation back, but it might be relevant also in this context, is in terms of guidance for new TAC members, is how to best use the OpenSSL communities platform to engage our communities, both in decision makings, like there's so many different poll tools that are available, and often it's hard to figure out what is the best way to use those, but also to generate more engagement in regular posts. So instead of doing that, the foundation for the back, the foundation for its TAC, and the corporation for the TAC, maybe you can pool resources and help us in a single go, spread, giving us guidance on that side of things.
So inside the corporation and the foundation, for our hires and our existing staff, we've got a personality profile thing. We find that this helps us improve communication. It's a communication improvement tool. We're not all the same. One particular approach that you might use for one person really doesn't work for another. So you've got to be adaptive. And we find if everybody just keeps this in mind, we know what our natural styles are. And by reaching from both sides to say, hey, this person needs me to slow down and not talk so quickly, by making changes like that, we get much better results. So anybody wants to go through the TIC stuff, just drop an email to Anton or myself, and we'll click you across to it. The important thing across here is you can see where everybody is. So if you want to get a sense of how people are likely to respond, you can see where everybody goes on a little quadrant. So we've got some people a little bit different to others who are a little bit more forceful and pushy. Notice myself down in the extreme eagle. I'm the only extreme that we actually have within the group at the moment, and everybody else is kind of sort of all over the place. What it does mean is that when you plot everybody, you can see we're relatively balanced on the left-hand side in terms of representing the different sorts of types of people who are out there. One thing we did find previously in how we were making our management decisions is we were very non-balanced as a group. We were overwhelmingly one style, and it led to decision-making not necessarily representing all of the interests from the external community. So, in pretty much every organization, you're going to end up with a real mix of people in different roles, and you end up with a mix of people in the same role. So it's a tool that's available. You just have to ask. Some folks here on the call have done their TIC profiles. Some folks other than Anton and myself have done their TIC profiles. So it's a tool that helps. And we certainly see differences in the interactions after having gone through this.
Yeah, this is something we can have for the advisory committee. So let me know. If interested, we will get you.
And again, we are not going to force this on you. This is up to you to decide you want it or not.
So
Another way we are demonstrating that we are not dictating things.
Yeah, So I can share that I already did the test in a previous episode of this conversation with Tim. And for example, I am a dove peacock, in case anyone is interested. And it's actually, to me, it was like I did it just because I was curious about it, but I can share with all of you that it was actually a very interesting experience, and it helped me understanding a little bit more about myself and how I tend to collaborate with other people. So it's something that I can strongly recommend.
That's the last section. So it is very important to establish the communication channel, and I say it's by doing it, by reaching out to your communities, finding a way where your community is gathering and listen, observe, introduce yourself is a good way to start. It is very important to keep being visible and approachable so that people knows that you are around and you have your opinion or you have your questions.
Yeah. Now, Shane has a much easier task than this, than the rest of you, because Shane has been in the communities he's in, and it's the smallest community that we have. So, you know, all of the communities pretty much know Shane. But for the rest of you, I think you've got a group that's, you're probably not regularly interacting with the community across the whole size of it. So it is going to be a bit of an establishment activity for everybody.
On these, maybe the reason why I was asking for the Lumio training is because I did already face, as a back representative for the academics, quite a lot of challenges in actually reaching the wider community, in the sense that the posts that I write in the OpenSSL communities website reach a limited amount of the academic users that are actually interested in OpenSSL, because not everyone is monitoring the websites, not everyone has notifications on, and all of that. So one thing that I know I've been trying to do is, outside of the OpenSSL communities platform, like when I have presentations or other things, like presenting myself also as a representative in the back and TAC for the academics in OpenSSL, and in some cases I actually managed to be reached by academic users of the academic community that otherwise wouldn't have known that there's been this change in the organization of OpenSSL, and that they have a representative that they can talk with if they want to bring forth idea, or if they want to know more about things work.
So an example is, and I'm just throwing this out at random, if you wanted to run a webinar to introduce yourself to the community, the corporation, you've just got to ask, and we'll use our marketing resources to help you prepare for it. We can do publicity around it and all the social media thing to try and attract attention, just like we do for the normal OpenSSL related webinars. So if that's something you want to do, we can do that. If you're going to an event that you would normally attend, and you'd like some, marketing materials, you'd like some swag to give away, something along those lines, you'd like a shirt with OpenSSL and maybe a QR code on it, that gets you straight to, I'm a representative, I represent this community. If you're an academic, complaints come here, those sorts of things. Whatever you can think that might help, we'll assist. And we're absolutely serious about that, because we know, although we are reaching people we haven't reached before, we're certainly not reaching everybody we're trying to reach. Nowhere near it. Except in committers, we're reaching all the committers.
Looking ahead, we collecting on a call for papers, we collecting talks. We have a good number of these talks. So we think that it is a very good idea to establish a program committee for the OpenSSL conference, which will be composed of the OpenSSL resources, both corporation and foundation, and advisory committees of both foundation and corporations to do the review of the incoming talks. We plan to have a face-to-face meeting with the business advisory committee and technical advisory committee in person in Brno, October 2nd and October 3rd, which is Thursday and Friday.
Including coming to the conference, Perhaps if you haven't already submitted a speaker proposal, submit a speaker proposal as well. And then you can be on the program committee to help recuse yourself from making a decision about your own proposal.
One thing that was possibly anticipated, I don't know if it is official yet, is that maybe TAC members from both foundation and corporation will be part of the program committee.
You are the program committee along
we
with
the program committee. Okay, good.
The BACS tax and the two boards are the program committee. We simply don't have time to establish a program committee given the time frame of the conference, and then we'll look at what do we do for future years and get some input. So we certainly are seeking more speaker proposals. So anybody you know that you think would be interesting, encourage them to submit. Colleagues, friends, anybody that you've run in contact with, anything OpenSSL related, Bouncy Castle related, CryptLib related, anything in any of the communities you're in, don't feel you're stuck to your community lane when looking for speakers. We're certainly looking for more speakers, so we're aiming for about a 500-person conference with 100 speakers roughly.
So on that note, maybe one thing that I can ask to Aditya is, so in the to-do list, in my to-do list for today was writing a few emails inviting people to submit proposals for the conference. And among the list of people that I wanted to reach were people that are in the PQC Alliance in Linux Foundation, including the OQS provider, OQS project, but also like the PQC code package and some of the other initiatives there. But if you are planning to do the same, I can save those emails and you can take care of reaching all the people that you know inside the PQCA.
Or you can both do it.
Or we can both do it and pass to them. Yes, but one thing I think that is important to notice is that while, of course, if it is OpenSSL focused, it's very interesting for the conference, it doesn't need to be exclusively OpenSSL focused. So even experiences that are around OpenSSL or interoperability issues or student presentations are very welcome, and stuff about governance, the lawmaking and policies and standardization efforts and stuff. So they don't need to be necessarily focused on OpenSSL, but as long as it is in the right context, those are all good topics to propose presentations.
Yes, I think it's very interesting. So what we do in PQCA is like we have an outreach committee meeting once a month. So in the outreach committee meeting, there's like a list of agenda, out of which last week we had a outreach committee. So we generally make a list of conferences where we can possibly contribute, or it can be a talk or workshop. So I also added the OpenSSL also along with like ITSI. I think there are a few more. So we are also thinking like how we can present at these conferences, and in the committee decided that I personally could possibly give a talk there at OpenSSL. So yes, sure. And I will also invite other members if they are interested. So definitely. And I think this approach also we can apply in OpenSSL, where we create a list of different conferences. And for example, PCAC Consortium is also there. They are focusing on the PQC, and they are also inviting for request for proposal and talks. So this is something we can definitely look upon.
So I would encourage you to put in a speaker proposal this week.
Okay, sure.
Don't wait.
Okay.
And Paul, anybody from your local communities, whatever, anybody you know that wants to speak.
Well, it's a little harder because I don't consider anyone in China they would like to have a speech there. But I have some friends. I do have some friends in Japan, so I can ask some Japanese to see if they are.
We do not care where the person comes from. So feel free to encourage anybody to apply.
Okay, sure. Maybe some country and regions outside China. But one question is the speaker who will cover the travel expense for the speakers?
So if the speaker's unable to get their travel expenses covered, we have a mechanism for doing so. So if you work for a big company and the big company can pay for it, please do so. But if you find that your paper's accepted and you're unable to get sponsorship to come, we'll figure something out.
Okay, great.
But we don't want to blast that out to everybody, because then everybody will say, OpenSSL, please pay.
Yeah, yeah.
So on an individual basis, that's an okay thing to communicate.
Okay. So what's the deadline of the gathering of the topics?
As soon as possible, please. We want to basically get a sense of what the schedule is going to look like, where the interest is coming from. We do have we extended the call for papers, but if you know somebody, don't worry too much about the deadlines, just get it in.
Right, sure.
All right, that's where the presentation has ended.
One question from me is the library itself. So where does it belong to? So the OpenSSL library, the code is belonging to the corporation or the foundation.
We consider ourselves sort of co-custodians of the code, like co-equal, co-custodians from that perspective. And what matters for our users is the license it's available under. So it's all under the Apache license, which is how everybody uses it.
So yeah, I had a very similar kind of question, but it was in particular related to the committers, and Dmitry's on the other side of the he's in the foundation side of the committers for the TAC, and it's confusing to me when there's the code is shared, like what is Dmitry responsible? What am I responsible for in terms of TAC overlap? Like they're kind of.
You mean what does the TAC for the corporation versus the TAC for the foundation do?
Yeah, there's some overlap there. Yeah.
Well, it's exactly like the foundation and the corporation. The mission's the same, the value's the same, the alignment on what we're doing is the same. There's a focus difference. So the corporation's primarily focused on commercial activities. The foundation is primarily focused on non-commercial activities. So that's the lens you're looking at. So despite the fact of that lens, we still want every community represented in both organizations.
Right. So say for example, the thing that's just come up recently, which was some coding, C99, for example.
Yep.
Right. So that is something that's across the code. It doesn't really belong to either.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Does it?
You mean in terms of the viewpoints? The viewpoints within the non-commercial space and the viewpoints in the commercial space are actually quite distinct and different.
Right.
So how many people do you see in the free and open source space, non-commercial, who care about older compilers? You'd be really lucky to find any. Whereas in the commercial space, you'll find a whole pile of companies that, I'm dealing with old products. You know, if you're more modern than 15 years ago, you're going to cause me a big problem. So there is a greater comfort in the non-commercial space to be on later language versions than there is in the commercial space, as a really good concrete example, Shane. All right, so you've got to look at it through that lens. Whereas if you turn around and say, I want to support this old super ancient open source thing, you may have a reason for an open source thing, but you'll find that opinion would be in the minority. And that's sort of a really good worked example of why we have that focus difference. But we still care about the same library. We're still serving stuff that's available to both communities. It's just how we go about prioritizing things is different.
All right. Okay, I'll have to think about that a bit more.
Yeah, and it is a different to how we've done things in the past, right? And what we've done by having the foundation and the corporation split, neither is able to sort of negotiate a Mexican standoff of nothing happens. We get the viewpoint where there is a difference, that difference becomes visible to everybody. And then we sit down and say, okay, well, you know, clearly on the commercial side, we're looking at this. On the non-commercial, we see it differently. We'll have a conversation about it. But if somebody's adamant we need to do it, then a decision will get made. The foundation can't turn and say, no, we can't go to C99 ever. Right? If the corporation says we believe we should be there, then we've got to figure out a way to make it work.
I guess I was trying to figure out who coordinates that, Dmitry or I, yeah? Because
From what perspective, there's nothing for you to coordinate.
Yeah.
You represent the viewpoint as the TAC representative for the committers, the viewpoint of the committers with a commercial prioritization focus.
Right.
Dmitry would represent it with a non-commercial prioritization focus.
Right,
So
okay.
if the views of the committers are driven by those two viewpoints, then you parse it differently. And you certainly can see the difference amongst the committers in terms of which area the committer is sitting in. There's some distinctly non-commercial and distinctly commercial. And the viewpoints, when they get expressed, generally come across that way. And you go, why? When you drill in, you can generally figure out what group are you representing in holding that viewpoint. And then you've got the lens on the corporate side, corporation side, commercial prioritization. Yeah, and we're just primarily focused on that. It doesn't mean we ignore the other, just primarily focused. So the weighting goes towards that in terms of how we look at things. And it doesn't mean we dismiss the other, but gathering that, making sure we understand the fullness of the point, that's something that would be Dmitry's responsibility on the non-commercial side and yours on the commercial. Yeah, have I actually captured a fair representative of the two viewpoints? You just got to worry about commercial.
Okay.
I hope that helps, Shane.
Yeah, I'll think about it a bit more.
Right, and it's not a hard and fast, precise thing, Shane.
Mm.
It's trying to use that same reason the foundation and corporation are different in the tax. That's why the tax are different. And the reason we're doing this is to be exceedingly direct. The previous governance model was jammed up on this difference. So we ended up with that difference in viewpoint, meaning almost all decisions didn't happen in a timely manner and didn't happen in an open manner. So the tension between those two focal points basically deadlocked the decision making. So this is a model to have it out there and visible, and hopefully get the people who feel really passionate about it to participate in the decision making, instead of having a really small group of individuals trying to represent a larger community who won't express their views. And that was one of the things that caused tension within the group. It's like, well, I've got all these viewpoints coming in. I was often, I talked to all of these people who are my customers. I talked to all of these other people. They're all saying X. And it's like, well, can you show us X? I go, no, they won't talk to you. That doesn't help people have confidence in terms of what's the right decision to make. So we want to say, guys, voice the opinions. And if you're not voicing the opinions, you're not going to get the decisions that you would like. You have a representative express the views. Right? And if we can get all of this stuff out in the open where people realize, look, if I speak up, it makes a difference. That's really all of our focus about engaging with the communities is for those voices to have to be visible. All right. And now LMS is a good example. There are people who have very strong opinions about LMS. They need to express them in public. Now, I've heard lots of those strong opinions directly. They don't help the project. They need to come out in public. If you think it's important, you should be barracking for it in public. No, I don't think this is a committer issue for you, Shane. I think it's an issue for the large company representative. They've got the biggest thing of getting all of these viewpoints. You know, stop telling people individually, express it openly in the community. Yeah. Those are the behaviors I'm trying to get changed. Right, because I think people need to be a little bit more open about what their viewpoints are. Now, we have some problems in a number of groups where people won't express their viewpoints because they get smacked for them. And we had some of those issues in the decisions we're making about Quick. Right, where there was a very, very strong set of feedback on, you know, please don't do this, please do this. But nobody was game to express that viewpoint in public. Because there was a very vocal minority who were using commercial pressure to discourage any dissent from the outcome they were seeking. And, you know, we took damage in our decision making because we didn't force those viewpoints out in public. Yeah, there was clearly a problem there. Mm. And we've seen that recently in some stuff about seed versus key in the IETF. There was massive commercial pressure applied on some organisations to vote a particular direction. And, you know, I'm trying to get ourselves to a point where if somebody tells me something and, you know, it's contrary to what the visible viewpoint is, I want to force people back into the community. It's like, we are not going to override the decision of the publicly visible advice, right? I want to get to the point where it's very clear, if you can't go through the community channels, you're not going to get the outcome a different way.
Right, yeah.
Right, and that's going to take time, right? Because people are going to have to learn the hard way. Yeah, right. Because at the moment, you know, some of the decisions we've made, we're actually representing, you know, the viewpoint that a few of us have that we've got from those interactions, but you won't find it anywhere. You can't go and find that viewpoint. You look at some of the optimizations we've put in for Intel and things along those lines. Where's all the community pressure to get Intel optimizations in as a priority? Do you see any expressed out there in the community?
No.
Right.
I've seen anything, yeah.
But I think people would express that if they realise that if they don't express it, we won't do it. Now, we've done it because we've got an understanding of how important it is, but I actually think our community should be saying, yes, this is something that should be being done. As an example. I'm just trying to get some examples where you can see the difference.
Right.
And again, that would be a good one where commercial versus non-commercial. Performance is much less of an issue for a non-commercial context.
I'm struggling to see what is non-commercial. Most of the stuff is commercial anyway, right? Though?
Yes, the majority of the use of OpenSSL that people are contributing from is in a commercial context. There's a lot of use where it's used in open source to support companies that are non-commercial, but the non-commercial piece is less visible, less important. So you take an example, Debian operating system. Debian is very non-commercial. So how do you rate that? as a usage model. How many people are running pure Debian systems? How many people are running pure Debian systems for non-commercial reasons? How do we equate for all of the Debian input that goes into all the other distributions that are derivatives? I don't think there's a simple model that gives us an answer, but I do think you can see that the certain criteria that appeals more on one side than the other.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how the instead of having the two groups, you've now got, I don't know, 5, 6 groups
Yeah.
interacting with each other. So
Well, we've got the two boards.
Yeah.
We've got the 2 advisory committees to each board. Now we've got a combined engineering team. So we've got a single engineering manager, but the engineers come out of both of the companies, and that seems to be working reasonably well. And then how we're going about making prioritization decisions to date, they've been okay, but we haven't really had the back and the TAC impacting that. Right, and I don't think the back and TAC is going to make any meaningful impact for 3.6. It's just too close. Right, so 3.6 is basically a maintenance cleanup release, looking at performance, outstanding issues. It's not really feature driven. But what the hell goes into 4.0 for April next year? You know, we really need to be fixing some things. So you guys could look at and say our whole architectural approach for the internal wiring in how we do providers is broken, and we need to look at it. That might be something that you say, look, fundamentally, we just need to do this differently. We should be able to turn around and say, turn the flexibility off and remove any need for any form of locking. That to me would be a TAC sort of thing to have a look at. Do we care about that? Is super high performance something that we care about from a TAC perspective? Now, performance there really, that would be more on the backside, right? It's a feature. Performance is a feature. How do we go about achieving it? Now, the mess that we have in terms of the complexity inside the architecture we've got, that really is a TAC thing. Right, we've made some choices that we're suffering from that we probably need to look at addressing. You're not going to get the back to say, please go and tidy up the technical debt inside the provider mechanisms.
Right. Yeah.
Now, on the backside, from the corporation point of view, getting decent binary distributions out for a few platforms was a really high priority. And, you know, under our previous governance model, doing binaries was almost sacrilegious. Most of our users never compile OpenSSL. They get it with their distro. So we've got to tackle some of that stuff. So anything you've got, Shane, where you think, hey, you know, I wish we'd been able to decide this, or I wish we did this differently. What I'm looking for is different types of outcomes to what we've had before.
Mm.
Now, you've noticed the things on C99, you've noticed the things on style. We're getting different answers to what we've ever got before.
Yeah, the other thing there is that quite often there is quite a divergent, lots of different views as well. So it's not like a clear, this is the direction either. There's quite often different opposing views. Yeah, so representing is not always easy either there, because you've got to interpret.
Oh no, I take a very, very simple viewpoint on it, Shane. The viewpoint I take is the status quo of doing nothing is no longer acceptable. That's the clear view I get. It's like the previous decisions that said it's too hard.
Yeah,
we've gone beyond that. It's like we're doing something, we're moving there. So it's like C99 was always too hard. Now it's, well, there's no conceptual block on C99. That's like our old indent-based code formatting. I think we have no conceptual block on that now. We could go to CLang now, right? So I think the deadlock that stopped us moving forward has been undone.